Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes. And Tom Aspinall, I owe you an apology. I'm sorry, sir. I completely discounted you in the Sergey Pavlovich fight. You converted me. You turned me. After watching more tape and doing further analysis, he's got some power takedowns, but the thing that really impressed me is just how quick this dude is. He can lock up and sub you quick. He's got elite lateral speed, and he's also got elite hand speed for that division. I would love to see a fight between him and John Jones. I think that people would love to see it. I doubt it ever happens. I bet John Jones, if he ever comes back, fights his fight, and then gets out of there. And we don't, we're kind of left sitting with our meat in our hands. But Curtis Blaydes, elite wrestler, but he doesn't use it. He has heavy strikes, but he's at low volume because most of his knockouts when he's on top of people and just ground and pounding them. And in this fight, I don't think he's going to be able to get on top of Tom Aspinall. He's a minus 380 favorite right now. 89% of the bets, 88% of the money. It's so hard to pick one because he can get the knockout, he can get the sub. I doubt it goes to decision. While I'm thinking about which side I want to take, I'll look up the double methods too, Bobby. I want to know what you think.
So Tom Aspinall is 100% looking the part of a generational talent right now at heavyweight for sure. The man is just nothing but first round finishes, and pretty much the only blemish on his record is that first Curtis Blaydes fight. So for those of you who don't know, this is a rematch between Aspinall and between Curtis Blaydes. It's the only UFC loss that Aspinall has had, and it was the result of him tearing his ACL or MCL in that fight. So it ended in round 1, 15 seconds into the fight. So very little to glean from that fight between the two that might give us indications of how this rematch is going to play out. But, I've been picking against, I didn't pick against him against Pavlovich, but I did against Tybura, which is even stupider. But that was his first fight back from that ACL or MCL tear. So I was just trying to figure out how much that impacted him. And apparently it didn't impact him at all, because 1 minute and 13 seconds into the first round, he did what he's been doing in the UFC and TKO'd Tybura. As you mentioned, just flatlined Pavlovich, not even a TKO. Once again, 1 minute, 9 seconds into the very first round. Submitted Volkov with an armbar, 3 minutes, 45 seconds into the first round. TKO'd Spivak. 2 minutes, 30 seconds first round. Actually, I take it back. The only person to make it to the second round in the UFC with Aspinall, of all people, was Andrei Arlovsky. The only man to make it to the second round, and he still got choked out by a rear naked. Badeau, TKO. Jake Collier, TKO. Just nothing but finishes. Literally every single fight since he's been in a finish and in the first round, except for Arlovsky. A lot to like. He really does. Aspinall does blend the martial arts really well. It sounds kind of cliche in mixed martial arts, but there are still so many examples of fighters who their striking and their grappling is very distinct, and their transitions between are very clear and very disorganized, and they're not nearly as fluid as they should be. And Aspinall is just really great at, like, all right, I'm throwing like a leg kick, and then I immediately shoot in for a double or a single or whatever. Oh, I'm jabbing and, jab cross, shoot, that type of thing. It's just very seamless kickboxing, BJJ wrestling blend that he's able to execute. Just all around, as evidenced by his finishes and almost an equal distribution of subs and punches and, strike finishes and everything. The guy is just, I can't say enough good about him. Like, his dad quit his day job just to start a BJJ gym and be a practitioner so that he can raise his kids to have a leg up since birth in grappling, and it's clearly paid off. So kudos to you, paterfamilias, Mr. Aspinall, because your son is just an extreme talent. Now, let's go over the one identifiable weakness I can see for Tom Aspinall, and Achilles' heel is very appropriate here, because just as Achilles was the warrior who could only be defeated by, stabbing him in the heel, Aspinall has one weakness, but it is a glaring and very, very concerning weakness. And if anybody's able to see this and capitalize on it before he can figure it out, kudos to you, and I need some credit, because his biggest weakness is he is entirely reliant right now at this starting to become, now it's kind of late in his career. It doesn't seem like it, but he's already had a lot of fights in the UFC at this point because he's ended it so fast, and he's able to stay active except for his injury and everything. But what I'm getting at is he's relying on his speed and his quickness and like fast twitch and all these other attributes that do not get better with age as his defense right now. Instead of head movement, instead of, ducking and dodging and slipping, parrying, countering, his game plan, if you pressure him too much and he's bailing out, he will have his feet entirely square. They will be out of stance, leans back, chin in the air, and he basically tries to run backwards, like jog backwards without turning around type thing. And that leaves him open to not only striking counters when his chin is up in the air and his stance is square like that, it also leaves him wide open to grappling counters and leaves him wide open to be taken down because he's so off base. His base is so weak in those moments when he's trying to disengage and break the distance. Will Curtis Blaydes be the man to take advantage of that? I'm not sure, because while it does leave him wide open for takedowns, I'm not sure if that's something Curtis Blaydes and his team have noticed. I don't know how much they watch tape. MMA, to not get off topic, but it's still a very primitive sport, even in this day and age, to watch tape. Shouldn't be, but that's just the case. Like guys like John Jones are looked at as masterminds for watching tape. Meanwhile, you got dumbasses like Cowboy Cerrone actively saying, I don't need to do that shit. That's what I pay my coach to do. Okay, dude, no wonder you're a 500 fighter. But anyway, what I'm getting at is Curtis Blaydes struggles with guys just like Aspinall. For the most part, he has his way with the heavyweight division, and he is the prime example of an always a bridesmaid, never the bride career, because the only people that Curtis Blaydes ever loses to are guys with power in their hands. Like he lost to Francis Ngannou twice because we know how powerful Francis Ngannou is. He lost to Derek Lewis, which, quick side note, I'm tired of people saying that was dumb luck by Lewis. That was because Curtis Blaydes, for his wrestling, when he decides to use it, his other biggest flaw is he doesn't set it up. And he was so easy for Derek Lewis to time him with an uppercut to flatline him because he just did Ben Askren diving for the legs. He had Derek Lewis backed up against the fence, had feinted on the takedown. Derek Lewis didn't bite. He finally timed it, ended it. So Curtis Blaydes bothers me because when he does use his wrestling, he just doesn't set it up. And it's just annoying because he almost seems like one of those wrestlers that fell in love with his power after like the Abdul Karimov TKO and the JDS TKO. Like going into every fight after that, he was just really willing to strike and just fell in love with his hands, like Tyron Woodley, numerous other examples. And that's what led him to getting flatlined by Derek Lewis. But Derek Lewis, Sergey Pavlovich, Francis Ngannou. So far, only 3 men in the UFC have ended Curtis Blaydes. He's beaten everybody else in his long career that's went on since 2016 now. And what does Tom Aspinall have? Power. What does he have? Good striking. Except for his defense, his offensive striking is great and it's seamless. I think anybody that can KO Pavlovich like he did, Tom Aspinall, and just knocking the stuffing out of all the other guys he has, I'm all in on Aspinall with this. As far as how it's going to end, I don't want to be too crazy because by outright KO TKOs minus 175, subs plus 400, I do not think it goes to decision. And if it does go to decision, you're losing money anyway because it's all Curtis Blaydes. So, yeah, I'm in on Aspinall. Let's hear what you say about the double methods.
I feel like we both said decision is pretty much out of the question. This is a heavyweight 5-round fight. We don't see Aspinall really ever go out of the first round except for, like you said, I think that one fight. So if you go Aspinall, the KO sub, it's minus 295. Still nasty, but you're almost taking 100 points off.
Then yeah, if I'm taking 100 points off, that's significant enough that I'm going to be in on that because, you know, I think another thing I've noticed about his weaknesses besides the, you know, square stance, chin in the air, just trying to run backwards thing, is there was a guy on the regional scene that I think heel hooked Aspinall. But I don't know if Curtis Blaydes is going to be willing to do that, because for Curtis Blaydes to do that, that means that Aspinall is on top of him. And from there, it's like a, you know, timer going off, like a plane that's about to nosedive and the warning's going off, like pull up, pull up. It's pretty much like, you better get that damn sub or else your head's going to get caved in, or he's going to sub you. So I don't know if Blaydes is going to be bold enough to go after the sub, because that's going to entail him being on the ground and Aspinall is going to be on top of him, whereas Blaydes does his best work when he's on top and he's able to choose whether he's going to wet blanket or whether he's going to like open you up like he did against Overeem.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to check that out right quick because I do want to know who that guy is, but I just don't think it's going to be Curtis Blaydes who's going to be willing to be on bottom against Aspinall. So it was Stuart Alston, and it was a heel hook. He got the heel hook in round 2 against Aspinall because he was able to make the best out of a shitty situation, turn the lemon into lemonade. But that's not going to be Curtis Blaydes. But those are your two going forward. If anybody wants to give me a shout out, if you are facing Aspinall, be brave enough to get to be on bottom and have a really good leg lock game and leg lock the dog piss out of him before he caves your head in, or take advantage of him when you pressure him up against the fence in an intelligent way and he's off stance and squared up and his chin's in the air. So
you better start listening to the Better in Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover old spot from the bottom to the top, hey. Shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome, welcome to our podcast, Better in Green.